right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Red White News Show with your host, the military medium. Today, I have a really special guest join us all the way from Texas today, Maria Reed. Now, Maria is a military wife. She is a mom, and she's really an entrepreneur, somebody that's a go-getter. And I'm going to let her share a little bit about what she's doing to help military families. But when I heard about her story, it was something that was so moving and so fascinating. I was like, you know what? We got to share this with the rest of the community. We got to share this with the rest of the world. And it's really what she's doing now. But I'm going to let her explain that. Maria, welcome to the Red White News Show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're excited to have you on. So share with the listeners and the viewers a little bit who you are and what you're doing for military families.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, I kind of call myself sort of a serial entrepreneur. I'm like an idea fairy. It's like, whoa, let's do this. Let's do that. And I have to rein myself in and go, okay, wait, let's really focus on one thing at a time, even though that's very difficult for me. I'm a multitasker. But like you said, I am an Army wife of 17 years. I am from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. There is zero military anything out there. I had never seen anyone in a uniform prior to meeting my husband.
Right.
And we, 18 years ago that we met. And it was a smack in the face becoming an Army wife. I was like, what is this? What do you mean? What is a PCS? And everything is acronyms. The entire military is acronyms. But, luckily I'm a quick learner and had to figure it out fast. But the biggest challenge that we faced was, after we got married, we had children. My career was in television, producer, director, and I was never home. And he was TDY or NTC, see the acronyms, or deployed, constantly gone. And we had 2 kids. So I took a step back and said, I'm going to, reinvent myself. I'm going to have to do something else. And he said, good, because the Army's not going to let me get out. So there's that. And I became a high school teacher. I started teaching computer science. And it was wonderful, almost 13 years of doing that. But I realized quickly that I had lost myself. And even being a teacher, you would think finding a job would be easy. But as a military spouse, finding a job at all is very difficult because employers ask right away, oh, what brings you to the Fort Hood area or wherever you are? And that's all fishing to go, are you military or not? How long are you going to be here? And that will determine whether or not they even want to hire you.
Right.
Sad truth. But after teaching, I said, there's something that I'm very passionate about. And what I am very passionate about is military families. Because sometimes, and I hope I don't make any, viewers or listeners mad, the family gets forgotten. There's a lot of things out there for the service member, but not really for the family. They're just kind of there. And the kids, everyone says, oh, the families and the kids are very resilient. No, yes, but there was never anything really focused on the family. So one very beautiful day, I said to my husband, I've got an idea for a TV show. I want to get back in television. And my whole concept was to literally sell the show. I did not want to do it. I wanted to be the brainchild, come up with this idea. I stayed up for like 72 hours, putting together a business plan, a strategic plan.
Wow.
All the socials, the website. I'm like, I can do this. I'm a producer. I know what I'm doing. Showed it to my husband. I said, this is amazing. What do you think? He said, awesome. By the way, I'm deploying in 30 days. I'm like, are you serious? That's the story of our life.
Right.
So I took the show to Hollywood, and Hollywood said, that's nice. That's sweet, but you're really small. And we don't think anyone's going to be interested in a show dedicated to military families. That just fueled my fire. I'm
Right.
like, what? Are you sure about that? So we went ahead and started producing the show on our own, which television is very expensive. It is. And even though we're in an age of technology where you can produce yourself, you can broadcast yourself, YouTube, social, all the places, we went ahead and did it. And, you know, I don't want to say to our surprise, because I knew people would care. Our show now sees 4.5 million people per episode on our own without Hollywood.
Wow.
And we have just, you know, we found a great niche and a way to really honor and celebrate the military family and share their stories. Many people don't know what military families do, and they're doing some pretty amazing things.
So let's talk about that niche that you talk about, and let's get into I call it some of the guts of the show. And, you know, talking about, you know, moving with the military, what is it all about? What's the concept? And if you could walk us through maybe what an episode kind of looks like before somebody actually goes out and checks out an episode.
Okay.
Could you share that with us?
For sure. Welcome to my crazy, because that's what it is. So moving with the military is, in essence, a home improvement show. But I'm like, it's a home improvement show on steroids, because it's not just about home improvement. It's a reality show where we share the story of the military family, what it is that they're doing. Maybe it is a hardship, or maybe they're just, you know, have a nonprofit or doing really great things in their community. We want to be able to showcase all of that. So the way the show sort of works is military families are nominated across the country. So we'll put an all call out on social media and say, hey, we're coming to Fort Bragg, or we're coming to Fort Campbell, and, you know, nominate a deserving military family. And I always put in there, you can nominate yourself, because
Sure.
Think about it. You might be very new. You may have just PCS'd, and
Right.
you don't know anybody there. Nobody knows you. So who would nominate you? But you know your story. So I'm like, heck yeah, nominate yourself. And then we receive hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of nominations every time we open up a call. And I wish I had an unlimited budget and that I was Oprah and I could
Right.
say, you get a makeover, you get a makeover. Because every military family deserves this
Right.
opportunity. But sadly, I don't have an unlimited budget. So we have to make decisions. And some of those, more often than not, are based on finances. Not their finances, our finances. Are we able to, because we've received, we were going to, where were we going? Like not Tyndall Air Force Base, near Tyndall Air Force Base. It was hurricane damage.
Oh,
You're
wow.
talking hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Wow.
And we're not at that level yet. We need Hollywood to believe
Right.
in what we're doing so that we can get those big budgets to be able to do more, like, you know, Extreme Home Makeover. But we select a family, we meet the family virtually. I do the entire design online because I don't see the house until the day before we're going to start the makeover.
Right.
So we're pretty much hoping all the photographs and all the measurements are right and there's nothing going to go wrong. Something always happens. There's always
Right.
some little glitch. But then we travel to the city, we meet the family, we ask for volunteers, those in the area that are carpenters or people that can help, that want to come out and just give back to the military community. And then we have a crazy day of about 14 hours of get it done. All of it, whatever it is.
Well,
And that's our story.
what was so cool is I went out, of course, on social media and on the websites and was watching some of the clips from some of the previous episodes. And it made me, I guess if people are looking for a flavor, it made me think of HGTV, but with a super strong military vibe. But what was cooler, it took it a step further, was you guys were telling the people's story, right? You talked about that. And people don't get it until either you watch it or you have to live it or you experience it. But people don't get like military family lifestyle. Now, military bases have changed, and I'm just giving a premise for you is it for the show is that married, and do you do this typically off post or do you do it on post?
Both. On post has its challenges because not every military installation wants us on the installation.
Sure.
Fort Hood, because this is where we're at, we're in Fort Hood, Texas. Fort Hood, we've got a great relationship with. They know that what we're here to do is be supportive, be kind, be good. My husband's still active. I don't want to ruin his career. I'm not, I'm not 2020 looking for, the story to dig deep and no, that's not what we do. Our whole thing is about being positive and uplifting.
So your husband isn't up in front of the command sergeant major every week and explain himself to the division commander. What's your wife doing?
What is she doing? I don't know, sir. Well, we often say he serves the country and I serve the community.
Oh, I love that.
We work together in different ways.
I love
when
it.
he is home, he just came from a deployment. I told you earlier, he was
yes.
in South Korea. And he just came home about 3 weeks ago. So he does a little more when he can. But his priority is, the Army. That's his focus. And when he can help, he does help. Otherwise, we work with military spouses and veterans and anyone who is willing and able to help.
Well, and it's interesting, right? You talk about your husband with that. And a lot of people don't realize the active military component, because there's different components to every, I guess, branch. But they're really the service member, whether they're male or female, they are truly married to that enlistment. Like they own their ass, right? And it's, but the thing is when the spouse enters in, whether from before they enlisted or even after, the thing is they're kind of, whether you agree or not with the setup, that's, hey, you're like almost the second spouse in a sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like where it's very frustrating. But I wanted to add something, and I'm sure a lot of military bases have changed and are very supportive now and trying to really change your persona. But a lot of people I was getting to earlier was with on-post and even off-post facilities. You talked about the budget, right? And you talked about the damage or the current living situations and maybe some of the married couples that are in, housing. Is some of the on-post housing isn't the most flattering or maybe the nicest, and a lot of people, and I'm not going to say this for all posts because there are some beautiful facilities. There's a lot of posts that will say that are changing that dynamic.
Amen, brother.
But what's that?
I said, amen, brother.
Right? But maybe this is the old military that I've seen in the past, and where there is still some of that, and where, it's interesting. And I'm just saying this because a lot of people maybe watching or listening to this don't realize I'm not in that world, Dean, or maybe I was a single soldier. I don't hang around married quarters. None of my friends were married, or, maybe they were, but I didn't go to their house. And so it's kind of a different world in a sense. And so it looks completely different.
Oh, yeah.
It's certainly far and away different than what it used to be many, many, many years. So, I know our military is supporting our troops in a lot of different ways. And which is, you are correct, is that I truly believe that the military family is one of the very last, it seems like, even though there are, the commander's programs, and we use the quotations because it is a requirement, right? Because of regulations and all this, saying don't forget about the military families, and there are great programs, but at the same time, it's very lacking and there's a lot of holes. And it's beautiful, and I just want to say thank you, number one, for your service, not only your husband's service, but your service, and not only yours, but your kids as well.
Thank you.
Because, that is a lot of times people forget about the husband or the wife, whoever is not in the military is serving, and as well as the kids making the sacrifice as well, right?
Absolutely. I mean, our daughter is in the 11th grade and this is her ninth school,
Oh, wow.
and that's, it says a lot for her character. She's a
Right.
good kid, always, I think being part of a military family, I feel like it's part of their DNA. They're just called to serve in a different way. You know what I mean? Not necessarily in the military, but they serve, other kids at school. They are always the ones looking to see, how can we help? Where
Right.
can we get in and serve the community, serve our friends, serve our school in some way? So I think being a military kid has taught them a lot. I think it's been a good thing.
Very cool. Well, and a lot of the movers and shakers in the world are actually what they consider themselves military brats, right?
Mhm.
Building that resiliency, whether they had the dad that was always gone, or maybe both parents were in the
Parents,
military, right?
dual military, yeah,
Yeah. So there's
absolutely.
those folks as well. So we don't want to say it's always one or the other.
Together.
Sometimes you got both
Oh,
parents gone.
absolutely. You said something a little while ago about, not all military housing is the same. And that is correct. And sometimes it's a crapshoot.
Yeah.
We don't know. And because it's military housing, we have a lot of restrictions. So there are things that I cannot do. It's been asked like, oh, why aren't you tearing down walls and redoing their kitchens? Because I can't. They won't
It's
let me.
government. Yeah.
Yeah, if I do one, I'd have to do them all. I mean,
Right.
it's not possible. So we tend to work off post more often because we can do more. But if you really look at things, and a lot of people don't know this, more than 85% of military families live off post. There is not enough housing at most military installations to house all the families. So at Fort Hood, you have 70,000 service members.
Wow.
70,000.
That's
There
crazy.
probably could even be more. Someone can fact check me. But there is only about 6,000 homes. That's it on the
Crazy.
installation. Where's everybody else going to live? Obviously going to have to live off post.
Off post.
So we try to do things that are reusable, removable, like they can take it with them. Because we know if I redo a kitchen and it's not their house, well, they got to leave. So
Right.
we really try and get creative on what we can do and how we do it. We've got a great episode coming up in the next couple of days. It was a bathroom renovation and there you go. We actually did a big bathroom renovation. The little boy is in a wheelchair and mom could no longer lift him into the tub. And dad was constantly deployed. So she wrote in herself, I'd love it, help me out. And we figured it out. We're like, how are we going to do this? Do you know how much this costs? I don't know. And I don't care. We're going to get it done. So we were able to give them a zero barrier, complete handicap accessible bathroom. But it doesn't look that way because when dad walked in, he's like, this just looks like a gorgeous bathroom.
Right.
It's wonderful. And what really warmed my heart is that the little boy sat at the sink and played in the water for about an hour after we left.
Oh.
Because he'd never been able to do that before. He'd never been able to turn off and on the water,
Sure.
but we gave him a touch sensor faucet so he could do that. That to me was like, yes, we did our job. This was awesome. So sometimes it's those little things, but I hope that makes an impact in the rest of his life and the rest of the family's lives, and it impacts those who are watching.
Very cool.
Thank you.
I'm excited to see follow-on episodes and watch it. I'm excited. So this is this one aspect of the greater picture. What else about this app going on? What is going on with this?
Oh, like I said, I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I met another military spouse. So she's an Air Force spouse. We met online. It's like speed dating. We
Sure.
met online, but we both realized we're both entrepreneurs, and we kind of had the same idea at the same time. And we decided, why don't we work together instead of work against each other? It would be a lot easier if we just did it together. So we
Right.
came up with the My Ultimate PCS app. You would think the military would have this already, but they didn't. And we did this 2 years ago. So we're 2 years in. And what it does is help. So not saying that the service member doesn't do everything when it comes to moving, but I did a lot of stuff. I remember having to make sure children's shot records and school records, and gotta, make sure the dog has all of his shots and things, and just all of the parts that happen with a PCS move. It's a lot to juggle, and sometimes you
Yes.
only have 30 days or 60 days to get it all done. So we created an app that gives lists that are integrated with your calendar, that sets reminders on all the things you need to do to be ready for a
Nice.
PCS move, all the numbers that you need for your Transcom, wherever you need to go to set up your movers. And then when you're going to your next duty station, checking out what's in the area, schools, um, neighborhoods, districts, crime rate, whatever it is that you may need. And for everyone, it's a little different, can be a little bit different,
Sure.
depending on what you have. Do you have motorcycles? Maybe you have no kids, maybe you have multiple kids, maybe you have a horse. You'd be surprised what people have.
Right.
So we also gave them the ability to customize it on
Mm.
how it would help, but also rules, like if you're traveling and how you would travel with weapons,
Sure.
how you would travel, what you have to do if you have, say, paint and things in your garage.
Yep.
Movers aren't going to pack that. And just what to do. I
Yep.
remember our first PCS move, I was a deer in the headlights. Like, what?
Right.
First, what was a PCS? I'm like, I don't even know what this means.
Right.
So we wanted to simplify and streamline the move, especially because everybody has a cell phone. That's what it seems like, and they live on it. And so instead of having the binder with 9 million pieces of paper, we put as much as we could into an app. And we still say, though, there's things you need. You have to have copies of your PCS orders. You have to have copies of your marriage certificates, all the things that are required, social
Right.
security cards, that, and I don't recommend putting that in any app for security purposes.
Right.
That kind of information should be carried with. But other than that, all of the things, and that app is still growing like bananas. We just finished the Android version. So there's an Android and an Apple version, and it's free for all military families.
Nice.
And the reason that is free is because we've been able to partner with different companies that we curate their content.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like Google, right? Everything is out there, but do you want to sit there and look through the 97 pages of stuff?
Right.
So we've curated it to some of the things that we feel are most beneficial. And then we've added a MilSpouse portal, something specific for the military spouse to find podcasts and magazines and events and all things related to the military spouse and the military family. So
Nice.
that's our crazy.
The one-stop shop, right?
We're trying to make it that. Yep.
Well, awesome. What I wanted to ask, kind of switching gears back to, moving with the military, the episodes. What is one, if you can think of, how many episodes are you in now? How many shows have you guys done?
Well, we've been filming at the beginning of all this year prior to the COVID-19.
Okay.
So because of what has happened, our production has stopped
Sure.
because we rely heavily on volunteers. So, that less than 10 people would not happen for us.
Right.
And, being really cognizant of military families, they don't, we don't want to walk into their house and have someone potentially get sick.
Right.
So all of our production has stopped, but we have filmed. So we have in the can 27 episodes.
Oh, wow.
Some haven't aired yet, but we have done 27 makeovers across the country.
Wow. What is, I would share out of the episodes that have aired, because I don't want you giving anything away, and I know you won't, but out of those episodes that have aired, what are some of the, and I know you shared about the bathroom reno, but what are some of the cooler, I guess, makeovers that you guys have done?
See, and that's so hard because they all have like such a cool flavor their own
Sure.
way. And sometimes it's not even so much the makeover, it's the story.
Right.
It depends. So one that really stood out was when we met the service member. He had also just come home from Korea, I think,
Mm,
and it was last year. And in the interview, I did not know any of this. In the interview, he tells me that he and his wife never had a wedding, that they got married at a UPS store.
ah.
My eyes immediately lit up. I see my producer over here going, no, no, don't even think about it. And I'm like, yes. Oh, yeah. She knew my brain
Right.
already. So as soon as we were done with the interview, I'm like, we're giving them a wedding. Yeah, we are. She's like, are you insane? Do you know what this is going to cost? Do you realize, and forget the cost, just we have 3 days. I'm like, we're going to do it. We're doing it. We're giving them a wedding and everybody's going to be surprised. So what we did was we gave them a bedroom makeover, which was very beautiful and very romantic and all those things. And then he surprised her. He's in the closet in his uniform. He comes out. She's like, okay, surprise. He gets down on one knee. She's like, what's going on? He proposes again, and she just thought it was sweet. She's like, of course I'd marry you again. I love you. And we all yell, no, like right now, like in 3 hours. And she's like, what? We're like, we're doing a wedding. And we had all this plan, took them on in less than 3 hours. We gave them a surprise, gorgeous wedding.
That's
That to
awesome.
me was like, yes, we did it. So that one's more story than makeover.
Right.
We did a makeover, which was an office makeover, and we handmade the table.
Oh, wow.
So that's so hard for me to say which one was like. It just depends. There's so many
Right. So
moving
many. Which
parts.
one do you pick, right?
I love them all. There's my problem. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, perfect. Well, now I know that you were sharing in the beginning, Maria, that the shows are expensive to produce, and there is an operating cost, and so you're always looking for donors and folks that are looking to, or a sponsor, right? And so if somebody is like, oh my God, they are the people that I need to align with, like we need to help them do what they're doing because I just feel it in my heart, or what they're doing is changing the world.
Thank you.
How can they get a hold of you or find out more about your project?
Absolutely. They can email me, Maria at movingwiththemilitary.tv, not .com, .tv. And yeah, we bootstrapped this whole thing at the beginning. It was all of our dollars. One day we will get those back. I'm not even worried about that right now. Right now it is just doing the makeover. So I like to use this as an example. A show like a Fixer Upper, right?
Right.
Your HGTV kind of show.
Right.
They're looking at anywhere between a $350,000 and a $500,000 budget per episode for one. I don't even know what I do with that much money in a whole year because we don't have that kind of budget. We work on a much smaller scale, but we still get it done. The goal one day is to be able to do an entire house. And we have actually. Going back to that other question, the which one? We did an entire house for a Coast Guard family in Florida.
Oh, wow.
And that was because, again, the producer over there going, are you insane? It started out as 2 rooms for the little girls and ended up when I walked in, I'm like, no, it's the whole house. And they're like, how do we do it? I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea, but we'll get it done. And over 5 days, 125 volunteers, the Coast Guard came out. And it was just unbelievable. It was magic.
Wow.
It really was magic. But all of those things, the production budget, people work for free all the time. I am so grateful and thankful that they're willing to give up their time. But in order to do a full-on production for a year, people need to get paid because they have to travel and they're gone for a week at a time. And it's their craft. They have to make a living too. So if someone, companies that are interested in coming on board, I'd love to talk with them and talk about what that production budget looks like and how many sponsors we can have. We're very fortunate that this year we did get a title sponsor with Caliber Home Loans, and they've
Nice.
been unbelievable, not just for the, being our sponsor, but they show up every single episode, roll up their sleeves and get dirty. I'm like, yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Nice. Nice. Well, Maria, I would be remiss if I didn't say keep doing what you're doing. I know that you're making a difference. One home at a time, if you will, right? One family at a time, and
One family at a
or
time.
one military family at a time, right? And so, like I said earlier when we were talking before we came live, is saying when I heard your story, and I was like, and what you're doing with you and your team and everybody involved, I was like, we got to have her on. We got to get her on. And actually, it was funny because I was talking with my wife, and I said, "This is really interesting. I'm gonna, and I was explaining, and she said, "Oh my God, maybe I should be your co-host." And
Yeah.
as a yeah, and she wasn't able to be here, but that's all right. But she was like, "Oh, I got to watch that one." So, and I know it's not just my wife that'll be, so interested, not only watching this but listening, but seeing what you and the rest of your team continues to do once we're through this COVID-19 mess. And, we just want to thank you for what you're doing. And thank you for being a guest today on the Red, White, News Show.
Thank you so much for having me. I can't, my whole heart right now is just beyond big. I love what you're doing, and I love our military families, and any way that we can support and help them and let them know, I see you. You're not alone. You're not alone. We're all in this together. And I talk with them from all over the world, from Alaska, from Okinawa, all branches, across all branches. And we talk. Like, they'll send me emails, or, we'll do Facebook Lives, and I'm like, talk to me. Because I felt very alone at the beginning.
Right.
So I want them to know you're not alone.
So not only you're not only doing renovations, but you're also creating a community, right? Yep. Creating that tribe yet mentality, and so inclusion across all. Yeah.
A part of what we do, and I'll go quick, but part of what we do in every episode that we create in that city, we do community DIY events where we bring in civilians as well as military spouses, and we teach them how to make pieces of furniture, how to refurbish things. So it is that creating of that community that is so, so important.
Nice. Well, beautiful. Well, once again, thank you so much, Maria. And it was such a pleasure having you on today, and look forward to watching you and your team go off and do bigger and better things. And we look forward to getting out to everybody.
Hopefully off to the next one soon.
All right.